In this video, we are going to take a quick look at how the market determines price and quantity. Within the framework of demand and supply, we have a downward sloping demand curve and an upward sloping supply curve. These curves, however, only tell us how many units are demanded and supplied at any given price, respectively. It is not until the buyers and sellers come together in the market that price and quantity sold is determined. Let's first consider a situation where there is some price, say P1, that is set by the market. As can be seen, at this price, there are more units that are supplied than are demanded. When this happens, there's what is called a surplus, which is a situation where sellers produce more units than buyers want to purchase. Let's consider a market for apples sold at a farmer's market. Assume that the market originally sets the price for apples at 50 cents and the market is open from 8 a.m. until noon. At a price of 50 cents, farmers plan to supply 18 apples. When the doors open at 8 a.m., consumers come in to the market and look around at different fruits. Some choose apples, while others choose alternatives such as oranges or pears. At the end of the day, farmers realize that they are sitting at their stand with a bunch of unsold apples. This is because when there was a price of 50 cents, consumers only demanded 10 units. So the quantity supplied was 18 units, but the quantity demanded was 10, resulting in a surplus of 8 apples. Well, what will these farmers do? If you were selling apples, or any product for that matter, if you were selling these at some given price and weren't able to sell enough of your product, you had a lot of leftover inventory, what would you do? Most business owners would think that it was in their best interest to decrease the price of their product. So now let's say in response to a surplus, producers reduce their price from P1 down to P2. Now, as can be seen here, when the price is lowered this much, there are more units that are demanded than are supplied. When this happens, consumers want to buy more than producers are willing to sell, which is called a shortage. In the apple market example, let's assume that the farmers decide to reduce the price from 50 cents per apple to 10 cents. Because of the lower price, however, the quantity supplied decreases to 6 apples. When the market opens at 8 a.m., consumers see this price and they are very eager to buy the apples. They are so eager, in fact, that the farmers end up running out of apples before the end of the day and end up turning away customers who are looking for apples. In the end, consumers demanded 20 apples, but since the farmers were only willing to supply 6, there was a shortage of 14 apples. If you were one of these farmers, what would you do? Well, you would likely think to yourself that people really want your apples and that you can't keep up with the demand. Because of this, you would likely conclude that it's best to increase your price. In a competitive market, when there's many buyers and many sellers, this process will continue. Producers will respond to surpluses by decreasing their price and shortages by increasing their price. Eventually, price will be guided to the point where there is some price such that the quantity supplied equals the quantity demanded. This is also the intersection of the demand and supply curves. At this price, there is no shortage or surplus, and the producers are making exactly as much as consumers want to buy. Therefore, there is no reason to increase or decrease the price. This point in economics is known as the competitive equilibrium. So let's return one more time to our example of the farmer's market. After some back and forth price movement, the farmer set the price of an apple at 25 cents, resulting in 12 apples being supplied. When the doors open at 8 a.m., the consumers start to look around at the different fruits and buy some apples. The farmers find that their apples are selling at a steady pace during the day and just happen to run out of apples right at the day end. And so the last apple ends up getting sold right before the farmer's market closes. Now this is because when the price is 25 cents, there ended up being 12 apples that were demanded by consumers. And since the number of apples demanded was exactly the same as the number of apples supplied, the market is in equilibrium, and the farmers are at the point where they no longer need to raise or lower their prices.